All right, guys, we're going to try something a little different this time. Um, Last time I looked at the analytics and stuff, drawing out the sketches and walking you guys through all of that. That kind of got you guys to leave. To be quite honest with you, I guess the going through how to lay things out and deal with that aspect of the CAD design before actually moving into Fusion and all that kind of started to bore some people. So we're going to shorten that up drastically today, and then we'll skip over into Fusion, and then we'll move that over to Simplify 3D. I have also already pre-done the designs to make stuff a little bit faster. So here we go. What we're working on today is I have a neighbor who has some broken screen corners on his windows, and he had asked if I could 3D print some. So obviously this has one wing, but then the other wing is broken. So we're going to create center lines and flip flop and do things like that in Fusion. And let's go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and open up the screen corner here. Get me out of the way. Here's the actual finished part. And what we're going to do is move out. And then if you look down here, we got a good timeline. We can actually take this stuff and just draw it back. We get nothing. Then we can come down and take a look at the sketch. Our origin up. If you look kind of what I did here, let's see if we can go ahead and get some dimensions on here. We'll edit this and show dimensions. I know it starts to get a little bit messy. That's why I like to go ahead and just pop them back off. But you can see what we did. So on this, we have the main little body. There's a little corner right here that's out. If you look down, we have the main body that comes around right in here. And then over here we have the little square that's knocked out. And then on here we have little ribs that you can see sticking up. Same thing here, ribs, ribs. If you really kind of pay close attention, this edge is flush with the standing rib. The inside edge actually has a small little plastic flange across here that sticks out farther. We could go through with the calipers and measure all that stuff. We did that the last time. That's when I started to lose you guys. So I'm not going to be doing that anymore. And hopefully some of you guys will want to watch a little farther as we get into things. But then from here, we went ahead and threw some chamfers on the edges and towed that stuff around. At the same time, if you like actually seeing the design process, leave me some comments. I'm more than happy to put this stuff back in. But from here, then we go ahead and finish the sketch. Next thing we did was draw up just the thickness. Make me a little bigger here so you can see it. But this little tab that's sticking off right there, we just we pressed and pulled the whole thing up to that thickness to start off with, since it's the whole item. Then from there, the next step, we went ahead and pulled up the center rectangle. From there, we pulled up the two flanges for each side. And just so you know, I designed out one side, then picked all of it, and then used this line running across as my center line, and then just mirrored it from one side to the other. It's actually a pretty simple process. From here, I think we rounded off the two corners. Yeah, the four corners we did. Just like this has a little rounded corner in right here. That's called a fillet, by the way. And if you go up, it's right here, or you can do the drop down. Fillet is here. And then on the underside, we're actually going to do a chamfer. Go to the next timeline, and that's what we just did right here. You look underneath, We took the two legs that stick off, pick the outer edges, and pull the chamfer on that. And last but not least, we grab the middle and drop that down in, just so that it matches the existing piece. We could have left it flat because he is going to use some panhead screws to reinstall these, which is kind of what they already had here was panheads. And that way then it just sits flat and doesn't actually crush the plastic as much and all that good stuff. All right, from there, next is Fusion 360. We kind of have this. We went through on the last video being able to export it. But easiest way to do that, drop down. These will have all of your bodies. Sometimes you have 3 and 4 different bodies to make an assembly or something like that. So you want to pick the body that you want to actually export. Save as mesh. Output that. We'll get my Simplify 3D open here. Bring that over into here. Import. We're going to import our screen corner. And it lays nice and flat. But it is a very short piece, which is nice. It doesn't take as long. Let's go through our process here. Process 1. We're also printing with PETG. This is going to be outdoors. It is a window screen. I've got 35% infill. I don't want that because we're going to be putting actual screws in that corner. So we want to be pretty solid. And since we sunk this middle part down in, that's going to take a lot less plastic. So might as well sink that in and then just make the thing pretty close to 100% infill. That way we get a good solid plastic part. From here, extruder, 0.4, same thing. I make this one less, or 0.01 less, just so that I really get good side-by-side layer adhesion. Most people would never suggest this. They'd leave it on auto. Auto would, at 1.02, would extrude probably 0.42 to 0.44 as far as the width, because you get smash, so it's coming out, but then when it hits, it smashes outward. Those come over and touch the next one and the next one and the next one. I don't want to do that. I actually am making it less and actually extruding right into the path of the one before it. In my opinion, in testing I've done, it makes it a whole lot stronger. We've got still a 0.2 layer height. Don't need super fine detail on it. This is a functional part. Still want it to look nice, but it doesn't need to be over the top. Top solid layers 4, bottom layers 3, outer perimeters 4. 90% infill. Additions, we did, because it's PETG and it doesn't have a lot of flat spots on the bottom. It's got some good surface area, but this is all chamfered in. So you lose adhesion to the bed as your spaces get smaller. So I went ahead and added 6 skirts, and this one is on it. It is not separated. Infill, rectilinear, 90%. Supports, none needed. It is flat on the bottom, so it builds up well. There's no overhangs. This will be actually fairly easy print. Temperatures, we're in PETG, so 80 on the bed, 242 on the extruder hot end, just same as we did last time. Cooling, I'm keeping it the same. 0 for the first layer, 100 for every layer after that. G-code, it's a Cartesian robot, so easy drop down. And actually, if you just download, in my particular instance, the Creality Ender 3 Pro stuff in for your simplified 3D, it pulls this in automatically. On the scripts, I have changed one thing. You'll notice that the videos are now quite a bit better. We added in a layer change script. Well, it's not there on that one, is it? Where did it go? But we added in a layer change script so that it actually put in a Bluetooth camera button so that it'll take a still picture every time between each layer. So it moves the bed forward to the same spot every time, moves off to the side, pushes the button, shoots a frame, and then goes back to printing the next layer. So you'll see as it goes. I took 2 angles of it too, because looking down on it with this being such a flat piece, you really couldn't tell that it was building anything. So I went ahead and moved the angle down so we were coming more at it this way, and got a much nicer buildup. Obviously still only a few layers, but that's there. We can prepare the print process. That goes up, and from what I was telling you here, we basically have 40 layers. Well, if you run it, 30 frames per second, that gives us 1.1 seconds of time, or something like that, rough math. So we ended up extending it out, giving us, more frames per second and all that stuff, or fewer frames per second. So it'll look a little, but you understand what I'm saying. All right, guys, let's get into the print. All right, guys, well, that printed well. Here is the original part. Here is the 3D printed part. As you can tell, they line up very well. They actually work very well as well. I did have to end up removing this flange here a little bit off, so this is a little bit narrower. It was a simple redesign. These things take like 22 minutes to print or something. It's very few layers. It's 40 layers, so it just doesn't take long. Also kind of ruins the time lapse too, but which made them quick. Finished project. Like and subscribe if you want me to continue with these. Please put in a comment to trigger the algorithms. It would be greatly appreciated. The more views, the better. Remember that we are also a MakeR-MakerMemeCoin channel. We are currently working with on Ruggy, which is one of my actual dogs. Her name's Rugrat. So we took some photos of her, turned her into a meme. So now she'll live in the blockchain forever. Again, like, subscribe, comment. I'm going to follow you guys. This is all community. So if you want me to go back to sketches, we'll go back to sketches. If you want me to spend more time in Fusion, we'll spend more time in Fusion. If you want me to spend more time in Simplify 3D, we'll spend more time in Simplify 3D. I am going to want to get your guys' interactions, just because as we move into CNC and laser and a lot of the other things, I'm going to want to know what you guys are wanting to learn, understand, or even help me to learn and understand. I mean, that's part of being a maker, is learning every day, making mistakes, like having to redo the flange here. That's kind of all part of it. If you're not making mistakes, if you're not failing, you're really not trying anything new, unique, different. And that's kind of what I pride myself on, is doing something that is completely different from anything else somebody else has done, and having that ability to do so. Again, like, subscribe, check out our Twitter, check out our Telegram, check out our Discord. I will put all of that in the description below. And Meme and you, together go.